Welcome back to our lesson, and let's continue with finding the LCM and HCF using prime factorization. Let's look at this first one here. So we are going to find the LCM of 24 and 82 using prime factorization. So you remember when we are finding the LCM using prime factorization, we first need to list the prime factors. So let's look at 24 and what are the prime factors of 24. Let's break down 24. So that is 2 multiplied by 12. But because 12 is not a prime number, we are going to say 2 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3. Because 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. Then 4 is not a prime number, so we need to break that down even further. It's 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3. And that is 24 represented as its prime factors. Then we're going to move on to 82, and that's going to be 2 multiplied by 41. And if you look at those two numbers, they are both actually prime numbers because 2 is a prime number and 41 is a prime number. Now, how are we going to find the lowest common multiple? Remember, when we are finding the lowest common multiple, the first thing that I am going to do is to list all the factors that I can see. So I am focusing on those prime factors and these prime factors. And the ones that I can see there without repeating any factor, we have our 2, we have our 3, and we have our 41. So those are all the factors that I can see. But because I am looking for the lowest common multiple, I have to choose the one with the highest frequency. When I am looking at this block, the 2 appears once and the 41 appears once. And then when I am looking at this block, the 2 appears 3 times. So this means I am going to list all of those 3 2s. So that's going to be 1, 2, and 3. Why? Because the highest frequency of that 2 appearing is 3 times. Then I have the 3. The 3 only appears once, so I'm going to leave it as it is there. The 41 only appears once, so I'm going to leave it as it is there. I'm going to multiply all of these factors. So 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3, multiply that by 41. You can punch that into your calculator as it is, and the answer that you are going to get there is 984. So that is the lowest common multiple between 24 and 82. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one, we are finding the highest common factor between 26 and 64. Again, we are using prime factorization, so we do need to list the numbers as their prime factors. 26 is 2 multiplied by 13. And because 2 is a prime number and 13 is a prime number, this means that that is where I'm going to end. I cannot go further. Then I have 64. And when I look at 64, we know that 64 is 8 multiplied by 8. But because 8 is not a prime number, we can break down that 8. We know that 1 8 is equals to 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. And now we have a second 8, so that's going to be again 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. So that 2 is multiplied by itself 5 times. Then, what do we do to find the highest common factor? First, I need to list the common ones. So remember, it is different from the lowest common multiple. With the lowest common multiple, we list all the factors that we can see. But with the highest common factor, I am only going to list the common ones. So the common ones between this set of numbers and this set of numbers, we can see that the only number that appears in both blocks is the 2. So I am going to write down the 2, and I am going to look for the one with the lowest frequency. So I can see here the 2 only appears once, but here the 2 appears 6 times. So that means we are going to just take that 1, 2, because we are looking for the lowest frequency. So that means that the highest common factor between 24 and 64 is 2, nothing else. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. We are now going to find the lowest common multiple between 118 and 210. Let's start by listing the prime factors. So 118 comes from 2 multiplied by 59. 2 is a prime number, 59 is a prime number. So that's where I am going to stop. Then we have 210, and when we break that down, that is going to be 2 multiplied by 105, right? But because 105 is not a prime number, we are going to break that down even further. 105 comes from 3 multiplied by 35. And when we look at 35, it is also not a prime number. So that is going to be 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 7. And that is, our prime factors. Do you remember how we look for the lowest common multiple? We are going to look for, firstly, we are going to list all of the factors that we can see without repeating a factor. So you can see that in both blocks, 2 appears in both blocks, but we are not going to write it 2 times. We are just going to write it once. So in my factors, there is a 2. There is also a 3. We also have a 5. We have a 7. And we have a 59. Once I've listed all of these factors, I am going to go and look for the one with the highest frequency. So we can see there that 2 appears once and 59 appears once. And we can see also there that 2, 3, 5, and 7, they all each appear once. So that means that the highest frequency is just that once. So each number here is going to be multiplied as we have written there. So you are going to punch this all into your calculator, and then what answer do you get there? I'm pretty sure you already have an answer, and if you have 12,390, then you are absolutely correct. Well done to you. Okay, let us go on to finding the highest common factor. So now we are going to be finding the highest common factor between 618 and 412. So even though these numbers are very big, we can do it because we've got a method. So 618, if I break that down, that is going to be 2 multiplied by 309, right? But 309 is not a prime number, so we can break that down even further. That is 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 103. And 103 is actually a prime number. So this means that 618 represented as its prime factors is 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 103. Then we have 412, and we are going to break that down into prime factors. So that is going to be 2 multiplied by 206, right? But because 206 is not a prime number, we need to break it down even further. And that is going to be 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 103. Again, 103 is, of course, a prime number. And we already know that 2 is a prime number. How do we find the highest common factor again? Do you remember? Yes, we are going to look at these 2 blocks, and we are going to identify the common ones. So we are only going to take the common ones. Which ones are the common ones between these 2 blocks? Yes, we have 2, and we also have 103. But before we can just multiply, we need to make sure that we have taken the ones with the lowest frequency. So we are going to look at the 2 and the 103 in the first block there. 2 only appears once, 103 only appears once. And then when we look at this second block here, we have 2 appearing twice, and we have 103 appearing once. We are looking for the lowest frequency. So we are going to take only the 2 that appears once. So that means we are just going to multiply the 2 with the 103, and our answer there is going to be 206. This means that the highest common factor between 618 and 412 is going to be 206. I really hope this method works for you because it's so much easier, especially when you are dealing with those big numbers. Let's quickly go to an ad break and then we'll see you just now.